Welcome, everyone, to our multi-platform service for the Unitarian Church of Staten Island. We're of La Corvus Tamar Daily. We light a candle for the life of Homea Spence, Jr. May these lights be a symbol of our commitment to continue the work of racial justice and to proclaim that Black Lives Matter. Please join me now in singing hymn number 100. It's called I've Got Peace Like a River. It's in that dark gray hymnal. And stand if you're able.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. In my soul. I got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I got pain like an arrow in my soul. In my soul. I got tears like a raindrop. I've got tears like a raindrop. I got tears like a raindrop in my soul. I've got tears like a raindrop. I've got tears like a raindrop. I got tears like a raindrop in my soul. In my soul. I got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I got strength like a mountain in my soul. I got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I got strength like a mountain in my soul. In my soul.
I'm going to invite you all to do Joys and Sorrows, but you know, we were singing so hard that the chalice went out. I think there's something wrong with the whip. It does seem like we have a fuel problem, but we do, right? We do have a fuel problem. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna do that right now. That's okay with everybody? Virtually, we'll have the. All right, so it's time for joys and sorrows. It's when we would ask you to share your joys and sorrows from the week. If you're visiting us for the first time, you can introduce yourself. We have our 3 speakers here, but I think we're gonna introduce you separately. Though, this is a good time for that too, if you want to do that. Ranti, I said your name because I heard you speak when you were running for city council, and you said, and don't think people don't remember, you said your name means remember. So I remembered it. That may be the only thing I remember that you said, but forgive me. It was a forum with a lot of people stood up and ran and said they were running. I do apologize for that. But I remember you, and I remember what your name means. I don't remember what your last name means, if you said that. The god of what? Iron. Oh, well, that's memorable. Everybody got that? Okay. All right, so for those joining us online, well, let me finish. So if you want to speak, raise your hand. I'll give you the microphone. We ask that you say your name. And obviously, we invite you to share what's in your heart. For those of you joining online, we invite you to type into the chat your joys, and Sally will read them aloud. And we invite you to share what's in your heart as well. Okay, who wants to go first?
Hi, my name is Kathy. I have a couple of things, but I wasn't paying attention before. I don't know if you mentioned the walk today.
No.
Okay. So, number 1, we have a wonderful walk today at Willowbrook Park. We're meeting at the Carousel at 1:30. We have an entomologist, Paul Lederer, is coming, and he has been preparing, actually, I heard, over the last 3 weeks, so that he can give us lots of information about the bugs and the flora in Willowbrook Park. So please, please join us. The sun is out. It'll be great.
Again, 1:30.
1:30, Willowbrook Park at the Carousel, which is 2 Eaton Place. Anyway, the other thing is, I just want to remind everybody that both Larry's still at Golden Gate, Larry Schwabacker, and he really, I spoke to him this week, he really, really appreciates the cards that people have been sending him, and if anybody has an opportunity to visit, he said a few people came and visited him, and he really, it breaks up his day, and it makes him feel so included. I spoke to Kate Nielsen, who you may know is living now at Clove Lake Nursing Home, and she comes to the women's gathering most of the time. And again, cards are great, just to have her know that she's remembered. And if you have time to visit, it would be great.
Hi. I just want to say I'm very happy to see my good friend Kathleen here today. She's part of the presentation, and she's involved in all these environmental groups, and I was pleasantly surprised when she said she would be here today, and I'm happy to see her.
A sorrow that I lost my friend David Kirby. He passed away last Sunday. He was supposed to speak at the Unitarian Church about at that time it was his most recent book, When They Come For You, which was about the erosion of civil rights under the Trump administration. But he's probably best known for his book, Animal Factory, which is about industrial farming in the pig and poultry and dairy industry and its impact on the environment and on human health. So sad to see him go, but I think he's in a place where he's more at peace now.
I'm reminded by your statement that I'd like everybody to think about Dr. Theodore Maniatis, who died last week as well. I was very shocked to hear about him. He was my doctor, my pulmonologist for more than 20 years, and a very vital man, so very surprised by his death.
Hi. A pleasure this week for me was yesterday. I sat at a table volunteering on Fort Hill Park. Does anybody know that little street? It goes up to the top of Fort Hill above St. George. In any case, yesterday and today they're celebrating Earth Day with planting of indigenous species in the new park that is right there. The street is called Fort Hill Park, but across from all the houses, which are beautiful and very old, is a forest, a little forest. And that has been saved by a local neighbor named Karen Perrine, who has gotten the Parks Department to buy it up from a developer. So it's now being turned from sort of a garbage dump for people who are homeless or having drug problems or whatever. They've been able to clean out a lot of stuff from the area, and they've planted tulips. And so each year they do 2 events, and this is the Earth Day event. So today they have a yard sale up there where you can get all kinds of fun stuff for the kids or for older people. I got a couple of nice cooking things for the kitchen, very inexpensive. So that's to raise funds. And if you want to go up there and plant some bulbs or help take out some invasive species, they'll be there all day today.
Yes. Thank you. We are grateful for all the joys and sorrows we have heard shared in this community, and for all those that have gone unspoken. May the attention and care we give each other and those beyond this space remind us that we are not alone. We will now pause for meditation. I will offer a quote to focus your meditation and then ring the bell. At that point, I invite you to begin the meditation with 3 deep breaths. After a few minutes, I will ring the bell again to mark the end of our time. These words are from Sharon Salzberg. This is the truth of our existence. Because we live in an interconnected universe, everything is contingent, intertwined, interrelated. In day-to-day life, a deeper understanding of interconnectedness translates as an ability to perceive the patterns and networks of which we are actually a part. And it makes clear the fallacy of separation of self and other. The clarity of perception is the root of understanding each other. It's also the root of compassionate action. I now have a reading celebrating Bradford Green, who was a member of our congregation for decades and who died in 2016. How many of you in this room knew Bradford Green? How many of you have heard of Bradford Green who didn't know him? No, okay. All right, so Brad Green was a prominent landscape architect, preservationist, and open space advocate who shaped the Staten Island of today. Called the father of the Staten Island Greenbelt, he devoted himself to Staten Island affairs and was a leader in preserving Snug Harbor, the Alice Austin House, and Richmond Town. Here are the highlights of his busy life. After wartime service, having earned a landscape architecture degree, in 1950, he moved to Staten Island and joined a landscape architecture firm where he worked for 40 years as vice president for planning. In 1990, he started his own private practice. His landscape design work improved highways and parks and cemeteries and public and private buildings. On Staten Island, he's responsible for the design of the Greta Moulton Gates at High Rock Park, the restoration of the Alice Austin House grounds, and the Seaside Nature Garden at Great Kills. He designed the Moravian Cemetery entrance, and his designs can be seen College of Staten Island, Westerly Park, Clove Lake Park, at the Botanical Garden, in playgrounds at schools, in a skateboard park that I don't even know if we still have, and the Willowbrook riding stables. And I think that's just to name a few. Is there even a Willowbrook riding stable anymore? No idea. But in any case, his imprint is everywhere. In 1954, after he'd been here 4 years and not a native Staten Islander, he began to advocate for the preservation of natural areas on Staten Island as a founding member of the Staten Island Citizens Planning Committee, which started as an ad hoc committee in this church. In 1965, after Robert Moses proposed a Richmond Parkway project to connect Brooklyn with New Jersey that would run through central Staten Island, the Staten Island Citizens Planning Committee, I wish he'd had an acronym, issued the first of many position papers and presented an alternate parkway plan that would spare what came to be known as the Staten Island Greenbelt, a term proposed by Brad Green. Summoning the group's many diverse talents, it advocated for an alternate route in the press, before public officials, and when necessary, in the courts. 1 year into the group's fight against the Richmond Parkway, the Staten Island Greenbelt Natural Areas League, known as Signal, formed to rally community opposition to the parkway. From 1966 until the early 70s, Signal organized thousands of citizens and elected officials to participate in annual winter walks through the highland forests and meadows, tracing the route of the proposed and already mapped parkway route. These two citizen organizations and their combined strategies challenged Robert Moses, who had been thwarted by community efforts only twice before. Their efforts eventually caused the Parks Department to hire a planning firm led by someone named Ian McHarg, who developed and demonstrated a new method for factoring social values and social cost into highway design. Using data-rich maps, which displayed historic, residential, economic, recreational, scenic, and ecological factors, McHarg identified a route west of the Greenbelt as the least social cost corridor, and that's what is now the Korean War Veterans Parkway. Under pressure from developers, though, Mayor Lindsay and Governor Rockefeller still backed a compromise route. So with their memberships behind them, the Staten Island Citizens Planning Committee and Signal sought injunctive relief in New York State Supreme Court, suing both Lindsay and Rockefeller. And the court found for the plaintiffs. The citizen planners and conservationists were victorious. McHarg's route was substituted for the original route, and an area earmarked as the Greenbelt became one of two special natural features districts in the city. Today, we know the Greenbelt as a system of contiguous public parkland and natural areas in the central hills of Staten Island. The second largest component of the city's parklands, it's maintained by the Department of Parks and Recreation, along with the Greenbelt Conservancy. The Greenbelt includes High Rock Park, Latour Park, William T. Davis Wildlife Refuge, and Willowbrook Park, among others. It features an extensive system of connected trails and covers 2,800 acres that comprise a biologically diverse home to numerous species of amphibian, reptiles, mammals, birds, including raptors, and fish. Green was named a Fellow of the American Society of Landscape Architects and received too many other distinctions and awards, and was a member of too many Staten organizations to list here. He served on many boards, the New York City Art Commission, and was a trustee of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And last but not least, he designed our memorial garden here at the church. So here's to Brad Green. We salute you and your efforts to make Staten Island a place with great cultural institutions, a wealth of parks and wild green and nature-filled spaces for all to enjoy. We will now take an offering. We know it is the gifts of all of us that help support our ability to thrive and gather. For those attending in person, we invite you to drop your offering into the collection plate, and for those online, links and instructions will be provided in the chat. You can mail us a check. You can donate to our PayPal giving page on our website, but please give as generously as you can. Our offering will now be gratefully received.
The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. Hey, younger, ho, younger, hey, young, young. Hey, younger, ho, younger, hey, young, young. The sacred ground we walk upon, with every step we take. The sacred ground we walk upon, with every step we take. Sister, we will take care of her. The sea is our sister, we will take care of her. Hey, younger, oh, younger, hey, young, young. Hey, younger, oh, younger, hey, young, young. The forest is our brother, we will take care of him. The forest is our brother, we will take care of him. Hey, younger, oh, younger, hey.
"29 years ago, Ranti Ogunleye was a shy, hard-to-reach young man whose life was transformed through a global kids trip to Croatia to work with Bosnian refugees. The trip left an indelible impact on him, helping Ranti to see the world through different eyes and shaping the path to his future. As a global kids leader, Ranti took part in the UN World Youth Forum in Vienna, Austria in 1996 and made 3 additional trips to Croatia, where he led workshops for war-affected youth and refugees at Sun Crockett. He was also a participant in the Caring Communities program and the video project Urban Voices. He received the Catalog for Giving Urban Heroes Award, presented by George Stephanopoulos. Ranti is a strong, dynamic role model who demonstrates the importance of being ethical, civically engaged, politically aware, and globally minded. He's charismatic, funny, and most of all, earnest and sincere. In 2015, Ranti was awarded the After School Educator of the Year by PASE, the Grammys of Education. Ranti also taught as an adjunct professor at the College of Staten Island and works with his brother and other NFL players running health missions in West Africa. Additionally, through his work with Global Kids and his time as the director of the Staten Island branch of the New York Urban League, Ranti has fostered deep connections with the diverse populations in his own community, as well as across the world. Across continents 9 years ago, his time with Global Kids came full circle when he inspired a new generation of global citizens, taking 20 young people to Bosnia for 3 weeks to explore the role of the media in promoting social change. Today, Ranti is an outstanding staff member, community builder, and global citizen who inspires new generations of families as the initiative manager for the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice. Ranti is a thoughtful, creative educator whose commitment to his work is evident in his interactions with young people, and a model staff member who works tirelessly on behalf of them, both in and outside the classroom. Through Ranti's dedication to growing a peaceful yet challenging learning environment, he's engaged hundreds of youth in thinking deeply about important global issues and given them the tools needed to achieve global citizens.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. That's a really great song. As I was coming in, I was like having anxiety. And when that song came on, I was like, okay, this made me actually feel more peaceful. So I said, when I get up, I'm going to sing it and it's going to bring me the peace that I need. So I appreciate that. And I'm going to actually use that song for myself moving forward. But my name is Ranti, and I appreciate being a speaker here to talk about Earth Day. I think it's really important because we all have a shared responsibility to this earth. As Mary stated, I was transformed when I joined a program called Global Kids at Curtis High School many years ago. And I did get the opportunity to travel to Bosnia, but also Austria, Vienna, Austria, for the United Nations World Youth Forum. And it was there where I learned about topics such as sustainability. I was 16 years old at the time. And I tell the story all the time. I didn't even know how to spell the word, right? Let alone to know what it really meant. And that trip pretty much transformed me, and made me want to come back and give back to my community. But specifically understanding what sustainability really meant, that if we did not plant new seeds in young people to take care of the planet, we would be in big trouble. So what I did during my 2021 city council campaign was I made a commitment to Staten Island saying that, you know what, we need to teach young people about green spaces. We need to teach young people about sustainability. So me and my team, we got together and we created actually a nonprofit. And it's actually in its third year. We're in year 3. It's called BU University. It's a nonprofit organization that engages urban communities through hands-on training and beekeeping leadership and environmental advocacy. Our vision is for urban communities to activate green spaces through the practice of beekeeping and entrepreneurial stewardship. Our values are through an intergenerational educational approach BU aims to foster a sense of community by bringing together people of diverse backgrounds to learn about the importance of beekeeping. BU aims to further utilize and develop green spaces and public parks, particularly in low-income and marginalized communities. Future beekeepers gain a better understanding about the historical, socio-economic context behind environmental justice in urban communities. So if you really think about it, I was 16 when I learned about sustainability. I'm now 43 talking about sustainability. When you plant the seeds in the young person, the flowers become them. So you're looking at somebody now who's a flower, who's going to constantly talk about the environment. No matter where I go, whatever space I'm in, this is going to be a part of who I am because it's what was a part of me since I was young. So it's really important that we really understand on this today, on this special Earth Day service, we celebrate our planet and reflect on the impact of our actions on this environment. It's a reminder that we have a shared responsibility to protect and preserve the Earth, ourselves, and future generations. As we discuss the importance of Earth Day, we cannot ignore the critical issues of climate justice. Climate change affects every aspect of our lives, from the air we breathe to the food we eat, and it disproportionately impacts marginalized communities around the world, communities that I grew up in. Climate justice is about recognizing that those who are most affected by climate change are often the least responsible for causing it, and ensuring that they have the voice in shaping solutions. That's why it is crucial to teach our youth about the importance of climate justice. We must educate them about the impacts of climate change, the root causes of the problem, and the urgent need for action. By empowering the next generation with the knowledge, we can equip them to be leaders in the fight for climate justice. Activating youth is critical because they are not only the leaders of tomorrow, but they are also the leaders of today. They have the energy, creativity, and passion to bring about real change. By engaging them in the conversation and empowering them to take action, we create a world that is more just, equitable, and sustainable. So on this Earth Day service, let us commit to teaching our youth about the importance of climate justice and activating them to be a part of solution. By doing so, we can bring hope for a better future for ourselves and our generations to come. Thank you.
It is my honor to introduce you to the next speaker, Mark Latour. Mark Latour is an environmentalist. He happens to be a neighbor of mine living down the street. I didn't know that. Jack Bolenbach, who is somebody very involved with environmentalists and who's on the board of Peace Action of Staten Island, is having his granddaughter christened today. And he said, well, you need to ask Mark Latour to come. They've been working on an amazing project that a group have been working on Staten Island to save the land from development, very, very fragile pieces. And he's going to speak about that and speak about what Earth Day means to him. Please join us, Mark.
So thank you all. So I want to talk about land conservation on Staten Island and a number of other issues, some on Staten Island, some off of Staten Island. Talk a little bit also about the process of becoming an environmentalist and concepts like dominion over the earth versus a stewardship of the earth, family values. In terms of the land conservation on Staten Island, basically our group, Protectors of the Pine Oak Woods, has put a lot of energy into that. We identified 100 sites across the island that we thought were valuable ecologically and that should be preserved. So the Land Conservation Committee narrowed that down to 20 out of 100. From the 20, we narrowed that down to 6. And so the top 6 that you'll be hearing more about are protecting more of the Serpentine Ridge and near Serpentine Commons and also north of Serpentine Commons, and another big parcel south of Serpentine Commons. The second one is expanding Seaside Wildlife Nature Park. The third is expanding the Arden Heights Woods Nature Area. The fourth, protecting Outerbridge Ponds, also known as Page Avenue Woodlands. Fifth is expanding Clay Pit Pond State Park. And the sixth one is protecting the North Bloomingdale Wetlands Corridor. So we're putting together a video. We have an early draft of it. You'll be able to find that on the Protectors of Point Oak Woods website, so siprotectors.org. In addition, the Protectors does a lot of work in terms of exposing people to nature. So they've got hikes every weekend. If you look at their website, you'll find a hike this weekend. They also do forest restoration workshops. And we're working on a mitigation of the loss of green space and wetlands due to the wind energy projects that are coming into Staten Island along the Arthur Kill. So I'm looking at the process of becoming an environmentalist, whether it's here or anywhere else. I see three, what I call pillars of doing that. The first is spending time in nature. I mean, I'll bet there are tens of thousands of people on Staten Island who've never been to the Greenbelt. For me, I was very lucky. I grew up very close to several thousand acres of pasture and woodlands. So I was able to explore that all the time. I went skiing throughout all of the ski areas of New England. Went camping in the summer with my family up and down the East Coast. Years later, I spent time in places like Denali and Jasper and the Sawtooth Mountains, Joshua Tree, and so on. So the second pillar, I would say, is sensing that there's something marvelous or even sacred about being in the outdoors, about the other wildlife that we share the earth with. And the third is having a sense of injustice or unfairness in terms of what's happening to wildlife and to other parts of the ecology, the wetlands, for example, in the forests. So, for example, if you look at the state of Montana, there's a person there who owns a 32,000-acre ranch, and he's fenced the entire ranch all around the perimeter. So wildlife passage corridors are fenced off, migration corridors are fenced off. So you would think that there's some legislator in Montana who could develop legislation to remedy that situation. If you look at the deep ocean floor, sometimes not even too far from the shore, there are set nets down on the ocean floor, and hundreds of thousands of whales, dolphins, manta rays, sharks, sea turtles are being caught in those set nets. So there's a remedy that's needed there. If you look at ship strikes in the ocean, striking whales, sharks, dolphins, hundreds of thousands are dying every year. Look at trapping. The state of California has now outlawed trapping throughout the entire state. And that needs to be moved on to other states as well, that legislation. So every one animal that's desired by the trapper, another 3 animals are trapped and killed. Likewise, clear cutting. If you look at the boreal forest that runs across Canada from the Yukon eastward to Labrador, 99% of the cutting there is clear cutting. So there should be a legislator up in Canada who can write some legislation saying, no, we need to have selective cutting and we need to outlaw clear cutting. The Bible talks about Adam and Eve and the expulsion from Eden. I think that Eve got a bad rap, but there's actually a second expulsion that's going on right now. And so when God created humans, did God say, go forth and destroy every other beautiful creation that I put on this earth? So I don't think so. God didn't say, go forth and pollute all the rivers and lakes and oceans. Didn't say, cut off all the mountaintops in West Virginia. Didn't say, drain all the wetlands. So the expulsion from Eden is happening right now as we cut down the forests and the woodlands, as we drain the wetlands that so many birds, turtles, and amphibians depend upon, as we overfish the oceans. I want to touch for just a moment on the concept of dominion over the earth versus stewardship of the earth. So humans were not beamed down onto the earth from some other galaxy. We emerged out of the web of life that exists on the earth and that we are still part of that web of life. So some take dominion to mean that humans have unlimited rights to destroy every other creature or beautiful thing that God put on the earth. Well, I don't think so. That's an incredibly self-serving interpretation. That's sacrilege from my point of view. That's godless. We need to have more a concept of stewardship of the earth rather than dominion over the earth. At this point in time, we need to be caring for the other species that we share the planet with. To think that I can clear cut every single tree in the forest so that my stockholders and I can make more profit, that's sacrilege. To think that I can harvest 97% of a marine species from the ocean so that the species loses its genetic diversity and my stockholders and I can make more profit, that's sacrilege. Species such as the California condor have already lost their genetic diversity due to overhunting and the use of lead bullets. Species like the North American right whale have declined to the point where only 350 are left in the entire North Atlantic. And in some years, no right whale calves are born, 0. So there's something wrong with this picture. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, uses 97% as the guideline for what percentage of a marine species can be eliminated before they will take action to protect them, like the red snapper off the coast of Florida, for example. But isn't that way off base? 97% of a species have to be harvested before they take any action. I think it should be more like 50%, maybe 3/4, I don't know, but it's certainly not 97%. Likewise, if you look at British Columbia, 97% of the virgin forests have been cut down, only 3% remain. Knowing that, how can someone not be an environmentalist? Some of us seem to have forgotten that we share the earth with other species, and eliminating the other species that God put on the planet is sacrilege and is godless. In terms of acting locally, that's essential. So acting on Staten Island, but this is the 11th hour, so we have to have a broader vision of that too. For example, who's going to protect the Greenland sharks that can live for 400 years, yet are threatened by more and more oil and gas tankers traveling through their habitat in the Arctic Ocean? Who's going to protect the vast fisheries that are being decimated around Antarctica? Who's going to minimize destruction of the seafloors under the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans? Who's going to eliminate the set nets that are trapping billions of fish, dolphins, whales, and manta rays every year? In conclusion, as we cut down the forests, drain the wetlands, and send more and more wildlife species into extinction, we're actually erasing our own personal histories. We are erasing our own social and cultural histories. We are divorcing ourselves from the environment from which mankind emerged. As we erase our own personal histories and collective history, we are undergoing a brainwashing of sorts, and we begin to forget who we really are and where we came from. People talk about family values. Well, how about protecting Mother Earth? How's that for family values? How about protecting Mother Nature? I'd say that's a family value. So let's not wait until the brook stop babbling. Let's join the campaign to protect Mother Nature now. Thank you.
Our last speaker is another Mark. Mark Murphy is the administrator of Freshkills Park and president of the Freshkills Park Alliance. A fourth-generation Staten Islander, Mark Murphy brings years of public and private sector service, and experience to these roles. Mark grew up in West Brighton and lives there now. He went to Catholic University and then worked as a legislative staff member on Capitol Hill before joining the Wall Street firm of Merrill Lynch. Mark worked in finance, real estate, and media on the West Coast. During this time, he was appointed vice president of the prestigious real estate development and land master planning firm, the Irvine Company. From these successes, Mark built a real estate advisory and brokerage business in Staten Island. Mark holds a real estate broker license and a contractor's license. He volunteers for and supports Camp Good Grief of Staten Island, a camp for children who have lost a loved one. This is a group especially close to Mark and his wife, Jessica, who lost her brother on 9/11. Mark is committed to our environment and to open spaces and to Staten Island and its community. And he strives in his work to ensure Staten Island is cleaner, greener, safer, and stronger.
I hate to follow up Ranti. He's always so profound. He is. Good morning. Well, I should say good afternoon. I think we're past 12 noon, but it is wonderful to be here today. Thank you, Sarah, so much. Thank you for inviting me, for thinking of me, and thank you to the entire Unitarian Church of Staten Island for allowing me to be here and make a small presentation about my new role. One could say I've only been in the job for about 6 months, so that would make it somewhat new. But you know, there was a very interesting comment, Mary, that you made earlier. Resilient relationships can't be destroyed. And as we look at the resilient relationships between, well, what we're trying to do at Freshkills, between nature and what man has done there, we're hoping to take what was almost destroyed and turn it into something that can be celebrated. But what a great comment today, and thank you. Mark, also, what great comment you made. You know, you couldn't be more right. You must be a good steward of the land. I am a real estate developer, and people have a negative connotation for that, but my development focus has always been taking brownfield sites in places throughout the country that have been destroyed by industry and turning them into a clean and usable place to enjoy, really, to turn them back into parkland, turn them into whether it's housing or something like that elsewhere, but not in Staten Island. I don't do any of that type of work here, with one exception. That would be the North Shore Terminal, which is something that was the old Gulf oil terminal on Morningstar Road in Richmond Terrace. This became then a concrete mix company for many, many years, owned by some unsavory characters, and they didn't do the right thing by the land that was there. But I took that piece of property and I converted it into still an industrial site, but a clean and green material terminal, bringing in bluestone and sand to be used in the coverage of places like Freshkills or Pennsylvania Avenue landfill, or for the roads that will be needed to be built, all of which are governed by DEC, DEP, EPA, and it is now a clean and green place. The PCB-laden earth has all been removed, and it is a place where we have union men and women working, making sure that they have a good paying job, good paying benefits, where it was a place that was not that before. So my development is not, you know, there is real estate development and there's real estate development. Mine, I can't say I would be one of the bad guys, but it was just, it's great to be here. So I am Mark Murphy. I'm the new administrator of the Freshkills Park for the Department of Parks and Recreation for the New York City, and I'm also, I wear two hats. I'm also the president of the foundation, the Freshkills Park Alliance, which runs the programming of the park, which raises the money to ensure that the park has leadership and stewardship that will be able to guide it into the future. Because, and one of the questions so many people say to me, well, when's it going to open? When's it going to open? I said, well, when's it going to open for humans to enter it again and do what they did before? Or are we going to spend a little time to make sure that it is a safe and beautiful and protected space for everybody to enjoy, for all things to enjoy, for all peoples, but all of the the animals, all of the wildlife, all of the birds, all of the nature, the grasslands and the trees and everything else that will invariably call that place home. We did, however, take William T. Davis is now under the umbrella of Freshkills, so it's no longer the Greenbelt. But we do too. So we're working on a grant to be able to get paid to change our website. Part of
the Freshkills Park Alliance. I'm a neighbor. I live right down the street on Henderson Avenue. I love these old, beautiful buildings, this one in particular. I always put books in the library, and thank you for having that. We're putting our own library at Freshkills Park in our little gallery on the corner of Richmond Avenue and Travis Avenue. We have a little house there, and the Girl Scouts are building a little mini library for us as well. But it's really exceptional what you have there. The Freshkills Park is only a park because it's no longer a landfill. It took 50-something years, 53 years, I believe, from the first time in which Robert Moses decided he was going to start dumping garbage from the entire city of New York in Staten Island, which he did in 1948, till 2001, where they now have 400-foot mountains of it, covered in 16 feet of dirt, geomembranes and other textiles to make it safe for us to breathe and live. Many of you may have remembered what Staten Island was 30 years ago or 25 years ago when you'd go to the mall or to the movies or even on a bad wind day, how it was something that was incredibly unpleasant. It was incredibly toxic. It was incredibly dangerous to live in. Again, this was a man-made problem. So it's going to take a long time for mankind to cover this and make it something that we can all enjoy again. I'm pleased to say that from 2001 until today, it has taken, I guess, 22 years to cover that site, to ensure that it is safe, that it is a place that we can now begin the plan of developing it into what will be a gigantic open space. I'm a believer, and under my leadership in that park, I believe that it should remain a green open space. This is a space that will be a protected grassland ecosystem, something that we have lost 97% of, and the federal government will not fund more because they don't look at that as an animal species going extinct. But it's a grassland ecosystem that houses thousands, or that protects thousands of different types of birds, thousands of different animals, whether it's foxes or mice or rats or moles or possums. And every imaginable creature is out there living, I would say, in harmony with each other. Sometimes it is a violent harmony between them, but it is a natural harmony. It is the natural way for them. And we want to protect that. We want to ensure that that's there. We want to ensure that the carbon capture of grassland is protected. We cut that grass once a year, as the Lenape people did hundreds and hundreds of years ago, because it was a working grassland for them as well. The trees that you see on that site are not planted. They have come naturally, and they're trees that we will protect, but at the same time, the natural grasslands are incredibly important to us. As somebody who understands the regulatory hurdles of developing sites and working with DEC and our other friends and partners in government, I think it's very important that we keep the mindset of making sure that it stays a green space, an open space, because for far too long, humanity has hurt that space. Let's get it ready, not be impatient as we do that, for us to all enjoy as a walking space, as a place for lots of passive entertainment. We will do races and bicycles and walks and bird walking, which we do now. I hope that you'll all come and enjoy these things. When we do open, you will all be invited to come to our great opening, to be able to celebrate with us what we see there. It is a beautiful space. I thank you for having me here. If you have any questions about the Freshkills Park, I'm happy to answer them. And I'm just happy to be able to serve Staten Island in a capacity that will be able to ensure that these values are in keeping with the values of Freshkills. So again, I could have talked about myself about a couple of other things about, fixing old broken things like houses in Staten Island and fixing old broken things like myself and the land. But I'm just so pleased to be here, to stand here with great leaders like Ranti, the God of Iron, this is something, I don't want to play football against Ranti. I'm glad those days are over. To hear Mark, who's such a responsible steward of our land and your mind, again, I'm humbled to be here. I thank you all for having me. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and an exceptional work. Oh,
Now I have everyone's attention.
that's how you do it.
Here's the light. Try not to fall down the stairs. Here we go. All right, we're running long, so question and your answer, very short.
Quickly, I'll keep them quick.
Okay, regarding the technology of keeping everything contained, I've seen, unfortunately, plenty of the green space parks where people ride their ATVs in there. I've seen all the trails ripped up and everything. So, I mean, this is a really, police state question, I'm sorry, but what's the security, or what's to prevent people from like riding an ATV through there and ripping up the membranes?
Well, I mean, one would be spending many, many years in probably a state or federal prison for doing that, because you'd be violating about 3 different federal, city, and state agencies' codes if you did ride an ATV across our property. Again, there will be none of that type of activity out there. You may have a bicycle race along a paved road, but you will never see ATVs recreating in a space like that. Yes, the membranes are incredibly important. All types of drainage issues and erosion issues have been taken into effect out there, and we are incredibly strict about who can go in with any type of motorized vehicle, myself included. Sanitation, myself at parks, our PEP officers, and DEC police are always monitoring the area. So that will prevent that from happening.
Mike Stein, who's on the Zoom, has a question for you. I took a guided tour of the landfill about 10 years ago, sponsored by the Department of Sanitation, showing us how much work needed to be done, and a wonderful 24-inch by 20-inch, he's very specific here, booklet presenting a future park that will rival Central Park. And then he said the expected completion date was 2054. And is this still the goal?
Well, my numbers are 2036. However, we will see North Park Phase 1, which is the first 22 acres on the northwest side in Travis, open hopefully in the second quarter of 2023. We'll see that, and then my development job will go into moving the planning of that property out of the purview of sanitation into the purview of parks, and making sure that the dirt and all of the soils that go into that are park grade, making sure that it is a place that's safe and the infrastructure is dealt with. But it will take time, but we will see North Park Phase 1 open, hopefully this quarter, to 2023. Thank you.
We now have our closing hymn. It's in the teal hymn book this time. It's called Blue Boat Home. It's number 1064.
lights of the heavens and our beautiful blue. Oh, I give thanks to the ways of pulling me, held the great winds urging me on, breaking infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the Babel, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue old home.
Please join me now in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish his flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. With these we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Closing words. This is not about liquor, okay? All right. This is a poem by Emily Dickinson, who is connected in some way to the Transcendentalists. Transcendentalists founded this church. And I had a personal relationship with Emily Dickinson when I was a teenager. So I think I had a transcendentalist experience, maybe because of this poem, I'm not sure. So, I taste a liquor never brewed, from tankards scooped in pearl. Not all the Frankfurt berries yield such an alcohol. Inebriate of air am I, and debauchee of dew, reeling through endless summer days from inns of molten blue. When landlords hum the drunken bee out of foxglove's door, when butterflies renounce their drams, I shall but drink the more, till seraphs swing their snowy hats and saints to windows run to see the little tippler leaning against the sun. Welcome to our coffee hour through the doors. Thank you all. Oh, and the postlude first. Oh my goodness, the postlude. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, and are also on the faces of the people passing by. I
Now, so ends our service. Please join us for hospitality, and those online, continue to chat.